Welcome to the Radio Scilly video report. Subscribe at youtube.com/Radio Scilly to be alerted when we upload new video reports. Sign up to the Scilly Lottery and you've a 1 in 2,000 chance of winning £1,000. You can play if you live on the mainland. It helps keep Radio Scilly on air and funds good causes around the islands. Read more at scillylottery.com.
The Scilly Lottery. The ScillyLottery.com.
This is your coverage of the 2010 World Pilot Gig Championships from Radio Scilly with St Austell Brewery, home of Tribute, the Southwest's favourite ale.
My kitchen. All right. Well, my kitchen's well under the way of construction. Things are going in quite well. Cooker's a bit of a slight list to starboard, I believe, but we won't worry too much about that. Most of it's cleaned down, and we're waiting really for the food to come in tomorrow. And then we wait for the staff to come in and dole it all out to the waiting customers.
Now we have let's have a look. We've got a slight list with the cooker, but you'll cope with that, surely.
I think so, yes. So somebody here, it'll be alright as long as you don't fill the pot too full. So one of our cookers is a bit high because our chef's fairly tall, and she says she wanted to cook 4 inches higher, so 4 inches higher it is.
The problem you've got,
the boxed furnace stand on yet.
The floor isn't level in here. That's
no,
the thing.
it slopes quite steeply down towards the beach, so everything has to be built. That side has to be raised up.
I'll see it again, Kerry. Another year.
But we overcome most problems, and it would probably be quite intolerable for a professional cook to stay here for a very long time. But for 3 days, they can cope with it. You know, and it's a bit of fun, I suppose, really.
You probably have better natural air conditioning that you get in most kitchens, though, don't you?
Oh yes, it blows in one side and out the other. One slight problem we do have is sometimes that the roof gathers condensation, and then it drips down onto the tabletops during the night. So we usually have one tabletop down anyway, but everything's a bit on the damp side in the morning. So it seems to work well on a short-term basis. But really, most of the people working here, the sort of backbone of the entire crew, really do about 40 to 45 hours work in 3 days. They are pretty well shattered at the end of that. So if they got paid, they'd be earning it. But most of them, they're mostly volunteers, and actually they're the heroes of the weekend. I don't think there's anybody on the entire weekend actually work as hard as the backbone of the tunnel staff.
Does it get more and more daunting each year as you get more and more used to it? Do you think, oh no, here we go again?
Yes. Yes, as it gets bigger, everything grows accordingly, including the loading of lorries in the early hours of the morning and unloading them somewhere else, you know, and things like that. And the sheer logistics of the thing get harder each year, but then we do have some very worthy volunteers, and they do try very hard. We could actually do with some more, particularly in the preparation of coming towards it. That people put in too many hours. If you ask a volunteer to do too much, they don't come along next year. So if we do have volunteers, we try not to work them too hard, and hopefully they give somebody, a long-term worker, just an hour's break, which can make all the difference.
But you do have some special volunteers that travel from all points all over the country to help.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, we've got some that have been coming for many years now, and quite honestly, we couldn't cope without them. They actually, the three chefs and an environmental health officer come every year and have been doing so for years. and they are all far more qualified to run this than I am. So I just really just set it up and watch them go. I take a lot of advice from them, and we discuss quite a lot of things. So although I appear to be sort of running the show, I certainly don't do it alone.
And it's, I guess, quite a good thing having an environmental health officer on hand.
Oh, yes, very useful. Yes, she's been immensely useful. She's very good at cooking bolognese and pasta. Yes, and actually she's during the years she's been doing this, she's actually done the course that turned her out. She's doing a master's degree now, so I don't know what we're going to do with her next year. We'll have to buy her a big white hat, I think, or something while she stirs the pot. But yeah, she's been a long-term member, and Andrea, and we've got Paul out the back, who's actually a master chef.
Right. What sort of
he KP's out the back chopping vegetables.
What's the environmental health officer's name?
Jill.
Jill.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, is it Jill who's outside there now?
Sorry?
Is it Jill who's outside there now?
No, she's not here. She's
Okay.
coming on Wednesday.
How many years have you been
Are
doing
you
it?
going to
now?
edit this?
Yeah. How many years have you been doing it now?
The actual tunnel, actually, I came in on it with Grant, my husband, who is actually, the whole thing was his idea.
For the tunnel?
No, the championships. So he and Kevin Sherris, our son-in-law, my daughter, Kathy, we talked about it, about the world champion, possibility of inviting some of the new young crews over to Scilly, because our crews don't get a chance to go and see them. So we Grant thought up the idea, and we put it to the committee of the day, and yeah, we went for it. But the actual food comes down to Alison Guy and myself. In the very early days, might have been the first or the second championships, we were on the green, and her husband Kit was starter man, and my husband Grant was doing the beach marshal, and she and I were on the green with not a great deal to do. We realised actually we had all these people and they couldn't even get a cup of tea. There was nothing for them. The Sarika stores was there at the time, and they did their best, but they weren't expecting all these people. So we set up the tea and coffee and breakfast cakes under a green tarpaulin. And that's how it's grown. It's quietly got bigger every year. This is our 21st year. So this is probably about 20 years of selling the food here. And then the tea and cakes eventually became not quite sufficient, so we brought in the pasta and tomato sauce. And that was absolutely brilliant. We just went from there. They loved it. They want hot food.
What's your favourite thing about the weekend?
I think actually, every now and again, one of us for some reason goes out there onto the green to go downtown or buy papers or whatever, and you wander down, and there are literally thousands of people there on Holgate's Green. They're having a wonderful time. They're enjoying their holiday in Scilly. Hopefully they go away with good thoughts of the islands. They bring enormous prosperity temporarily to the islands, as well as promoting them elsewhere. And they're all enjoying themselves while they do it. And I think that is actually very rewarding. It sounds very, I don't know, a bit twee, but it's nice to be part of something that brings so much pleasure to so many.